Hey, Patrick here again from Quarter Inch Off. Trying something new. I got this nice tripod to put my GoPro on, so seeing how this works out with a video this way. And additionally, one thing in making my miter saw station, the series that I'm doing on this, learning some things that I want to share kind of as tips as I learned. So one of the things I learned is, since this is a new project, I needed new saw blades. So I went out and got one of these high tooth count saw blades. Won't show you the brand, but it's got 150 teeth. I also went and bought one for my table saw, the same, and I gotta tell you, they both cut like garbage. I think primarily it's just these are low quality. I went cheap for the high tooth count, and they must be because they're flat teeth on here. They just both cut like garbage. I mean, to the point where, show you a piece of wood here, the burn marks that I got on my wood, and even with the high tooth count, it just chipped and ripped the wood apart. Instead, I went out and I upgraded. I bought, you can't see this because the Porter cable puts the saw blade in backwards, but I got a 60 tooth count, but with a different tooth configuration, and it made a world of difference upgrading that. So usually they tell you the more teeth, the better. No, not really. I think it has more to do with the type of teeth in them and the tooth design in cutting plywood. That makes a huge difference. So I just wanted to try out the camera this way, try out the lighting in here, as well as give that little tip that more teeth don't necessarily mean better cut. It's the type of tooth that's in it that I found. But now that I've upgraded both my saw blades, I think this will go much smoother in what I'm cutting. Still cutting apart the first sheet of plywood. So I'm hoping to finish the cuts tonight on this, mark up the second piece, and get going. Thanks again for watching. Bye. So another quick tip that I found, there's a reason my site's called Quarter Inch Off, right? No matter how I measured, my table saw has a ruler on it that helps you measure out what the cut should be and the distance should be. So I measured my wood, I pre-cut it, left a little extra so I could trim it up on the table saw. Thought it'd be a great idea. No matter how I measured though, my cuts were off and I couldn't figure out why. And I was getting frustrated, and you know, here's tip number 2. Different tape measures have different thicknesses of tape ends and measure differently. So that was number 1. Number 2, the tape measure that I was using, which is now misplaced in a recycling bin, had the tip here was drastically bent, as if when somebody dropped it, this bent and curved in, and that was throwing off all my cuts by about 1/4 inch, surprisingly. So tip number 2 is check your tape measures and use a consistent tape measure when you're cutting and sawing and doing anything for one project. Just be consistent on the tape measure that you're using so you get consistent cuts.